It's cooling off now, and he pushes his sombrero back so it hangs off his neck by the chin string. His hair is all tangled together. He goes on. Got a cabin in southeast California, by the border now. And about 12 miles from my cabin, they got one of those places with the movie screens up so high. Folks drive their jalopies up to 'em. I watch 'em outside. I can't get me a jalopy because I got no identity papers. So I take Pedro out and they let me sit on the ground by my horse and watch the pictures. That gives me a little work now and then. Pedro, had him about 5 years. Where's he gone to? He looks around for the horse. There he is. Don't wander too far off now, Pedro. What was we talking about? I'm guessing this is his idea of an audition, all method-like, living the part. I pour myself a drink. So, you want to play Billy the Kid in this picture. They've cast that part already, Henry. Me? No. I'm too old to play the Kid. He grins, showing his crooked buck teeth. I'm thinking I've seen that face before in a photo. He goes on. But I expect I can be a help. Heard that Wyatt Earp got paid for talking about things. He spits in the dirt. He advised on some Tom Mix movie picture. If that head-busting Kansas cow fucker could get the do-re me, why not me? I need some money for Doc Vic. Got to have some chemistry supplies. You want to be a consultant, you mean? Oh, that's right. You used to be William Bonney, alias Billy the Kid. I smirk and pour him another. Then it occurs to me that even though he left the Winchester on his horse, I ought to glance to see if he has a gun or a knife or something, seeing as he's either half or whole cracked. I don't see a weapon, but one could be tucked under that old military coat. Were you in the military? No, I took this coat off a fella. He didn't need it no more. I just like the buttons. He takes the refill in as dirty a hand as I've ever been around. And while I'm noticing this, I see a pale zigzag of scars all around his right wrist. Sewing marks, sutures, all laced up. There's something else odd about his hands, but it takes me a bit to work it out. Then I get it. His right hand is larger and a bit darker than his left. His left is small as a boy's of maybe 14. You're looking at my sewing scars, he says, frowning at me. Car accident? Nope. Nah, I heard that this here movie picture, he pointed toward the production set, just visible between the old-timey false front buildings of Main Street, is about Frankenstein and Jesse James. Now, I didn't know Jesse, but I know all about that German doctor, much as a man can know about that one. He was not a man who showed his insides. Oh, here's how. He drains the rest of the tequila in his glass. Boom. Just like that. Wrong show, I tell him. We'll be shooting Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter pretty soon. But this is Billy the Kid versus Dracula. It's what? Guess I heard wrong then. I come too soon. This here's Corrigan Ranch. This it is. And the picture we're doing now is you versus Dracula. Dracula, you say? I saw an old movie about him back before pictures could talk. But he ain't real. Frankenstein. Now, he was real. Only that doctor's name's not Frankenstein. Howsomever, I read that Miss Shelley's book. There's people say I can't read. It's not true. My ma taught me before the consumption took her. I read that Ivanhoe once. Most of it, anyway. Henry seemed to be talking more to the setting sun than to me. He was staring unblinking right into it, over the top of the fake saloons on the dusty street Corrigan Ranch used for its cheap odors. So, Frankenstein was real, huh? I said, sipping the tequila, waiting to hear more of this fantasy. That's pretty far out. It'd make a great story to tell around the set anyhow. That name, Frankenstein, was a lie Miss Shelley made up. A book alias, you might say. His name was Dr. Victor von Gluckheim. Doc Vic. Now that's how I think of him. He knew that Miss Shelley and her friends. He knew that Miss Shelley and her friends. Had him out to his castle in Austria. She was young, real young, no more'n 18. He showed her some things he was working on. Made a dead frog and a rabbit come alive right in front of her. Showed her a dead man he bought. Fella died in a lunatic house. Working on sewing that onto another fella, trying to revive him. He was in a struggle with death, don't you see? Was Doc Victor told me this. Now Doc Vic was pretty old when I met him, 1881, more than 90 years old. But it looked maybe 60. He come over to the country back in 1816, running from trouble back home. Grave robbing charges, as you might expect. So I come out to hide in that territory where he could do his work in peace. I met him 2 days before Pat Garrett shot me. I'm listening to him, and sometimes I'm trying not to laugh, and other times I stare at those mismatched hands and I wonder. My nephew George, in those days, worked for Confidential magazine. It occurs to me that maybe there's some way I can get a story to sell him for Confidential, something like Billy the Crazed raids movie set. I'm testing the recorder anyway, so why not? Billy the Kid, in his own words. Hell, I'd read it. Tell you what, I say. You tell me how you met Frankenstein, or whatever he called himself, and I'll try to get you the consulting job. If you get it. If you do get it, it won't pay much. Maybe we can do something with your story anyhow. I could record it on this machine. Damn if this story couldn't be a movie itself. I think so now, and I thought so even then. Henry thinks about it, and then he says real slow. Maybe you're the one I saw in the dream. Which dream is that? I had a dream that a fellow would tell my story, my true story. But I had to ride the mountains to find him. Since my time with the doctor, I've learned to take advice from dreams. He looks at me and says real slow, my story has been percolating in me many a year. And it could be that the time has come. I'll do her. One thing though. You got anything to eat? Maybe some pork and beans? I like them canned pork and beans. Got some canned chili. I'll get you some. But don't touch that machine. So he eats some chili out of the can with a spoon, cold, really relishing it, his yellow teeth chewing with his mouth open. He seems to have some trouble swallowing and drinks a lot of my jugged water to get it down. When he's done, he asks, You got a truck I see to tote this here modern trailer. I expect there's maybe a battery in that truck? One of those big car batteries? Sure, why? Is he thinking of stealing my truck battery? Maybe he's got a broken down truck in the hills somewhere. I'll show you by and by. Got a smoke there, bub? Does he mean grass? Lucky Strikes, if that's what you mean. Now that's a name I like. Did some prospecting. Never had a lucky strike that wasn't a smoke. I give him the pack and the matches. He puffs the cigarette and drinks the tequila. I switch on the tape recorder. What's coming up now is his voice, spliced in after my own voice. Mr. William Henry McCarty, a.k.a. Henry Antrim, a.k.a. William H. Bonney, alias Billy the Kid.